Hello, Buttercup. Welcome back to my channel. Today's book review is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, there are two book covers for this novel. I'm going to put up the first one that I had for the library book, and it's gold, and I love it. I really do love this. And then the second one is brand new, like sometime this year they decided to change it up, and I don't know why, but I like it. However, I think the gold is more like Carrie for 98% of the book. The 2% of the book where she finally is happy-go-lucky with her life and all that jazz, yeah, that doesn't happen until like 2% at the end of the novel. Jumping right into the summary, I'm sure you're intrigued because that was an interesting setup. Carrie is a world-famous tennis player, and she is completely driven, and it's all about tennis. All about tennis. Yes, is it like, it's a sports book, specifically a tennis sports book. I knew that going in. There's just a lot of tennis. And okay, it's historical fiction because it starts in like, when was it? The 80s or late 79 or something like that. And then it goes all the way up to 1997, like the last page is like 1997. And I'm just, is it really historical fiction? Because I was born in 93. Okay, I know, that's not part of the summary, but I just needed to say that. That's a bit much for me. Okay. And so I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Now going into it, why? A lot of tennis. There's a lot. And I'm not usually a sports person. I'll play for fun, but that's about it. I'm not really interested too much. However, I think the writing is really good in the fact that by the end, I like Carrie. I don't love her, but I like her. And so I do want her to win because she's determined, she is aggressive, she is all eyes on winning, and you usually don't see that, especially during this time, like in the late 70s, 80s, 90s. Not so much a thing for women to basically be as aggressive and sometimes more aggressive than men, even if you were into sports. And that's a contention that you see a lot. And that's part of the summary. It's just like, she doesn't make many friends. She has a few friends, and then she has her father because her mother dies early on. And so she has to figure out, does she really need to win? What is it? Multiple slams. Does she... well, they kept saying slams, so I'm gonna go with it. Like, winning big matches. Big tennis matches. Like the grand opening and something in Paris. See, I'm not a sports person. I'm just going with it. You don't actually have to be a sports person, you know, cheers to that, to understand what's going on. I just can't give you like the specifics of tennis. It's just not gonna happen, okay? I can hit the ball back and forth if I'm on a tennis court and we can have a fun time, but I'm not talking about grand slams, master slams, slams in London, Paris, grass versus clay. I'm sure I can imagine that clay would be harder than grass. And cement is even harder. You know, like those things where it's a logical issue that you come up with, and then you're like, oh yeah, these tennis players have to do that and win. You know. Is this coffee making me a little buzzed? Yes. But I think it's on point because Carrie and her energy is all the time 100% going, and I felt like, oh my god, what's going on? I gave it 4 out of 5 stars though, because not a huge fan of just sports in general. So stuff, as I was trying, I don't even know if I was trying, just failing at explaining the tennis. Not totally into it. There was a lot of practicing. I understand the practicing, but there was just a lot of it, you know. Also, there are points in the book, and it's not consistent, but it's enough that I noticed it, where Taylor will say, she laughed, I laughed, she shrugged, I shrugged, and it's multiple times on a page. Like, there's this one thing with Nikki Chan, who Carrie's trying to beat, like, all time. Nikki's the best player, and Carrie used to be the best player in the 80s, and so now she's back in the 90s at 37, trying to outbeat this, 20-something-year-old. Or is she 20? Or maybe she's like, let's go mid to late 20s. Yay, with my math that I can't even remember what age she was. But the best of the best, and Carrie used to be the best, but she's also 37, going on 38, so like it's a big deal that she came back. And so they're talking at one point in like a bar, restaurant, and it goes back and forth with them laughing and shrugging at each other. And when you have it 4 to 6 times on one page, and the conversation's about 5 pages, it's a lot. And then I saw it again with in the later chapters. I don't know if maybe there was just like a lax, like I'm tired and I need to put in reactive taglines or something like that, but it was a little much. You saw hints of it, but it was only on a page. But then when it got to Nikki talking to Carrie, yeah, it went with it. With the laughing and the shrugging and the shrugging and the laughing, it went really hardcore into that. And I'm not sure why the editors missed that, or why Taylor missed that, but that was a little distracting. I can handle it when it's like, happens on occasion, like, oops, there's an upset there. This was more than an oops. It was a whoop, what happened? Editors, fix these 6 pages in a row. No. But those were the 2 things why it's 4 out of 5 stars. So it's a high 4 stars. It's not like it's teetering on 3 or anything like that. I really loved Carrie. She changes in the end, but she doesn't lose her confidence or her aggressiveness or her dominance, because she is just a dominant person. She is really butting heads with basically everyone except a couple of people. And I do really enjoy that little slice of romance, but it was realistic. It wasn't annoying. It was realistic. Basically, this is what Taylor Jenkins Reid is good for. Realistic characters. I think, actually, that Carrie Soto is likable enough, but I don't love her, versus some other characters that Taylor has written. Like, I would absolutely love them. That was not actually an issue, but that was an issue for Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, all those characters didn't like them. But the story was interesting enough, and I kind of wanted to watch the train wreck that was Daisy Jones and the Six. Like the gossip column. I think that people read gossip columns, but online columns of gossip. TMZ. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I had to really think about that for a second. Yeah, it's kind of like TMZ, but it's like the olden days for Daisy Jones and the Six. And that's why I enjoyed it. But for Carrie Soto, she was interesting enough because she knows what she wants, and she is a fantastic tennis player. If she was not a good tennis player and she thought that she was the shit, then we would have some problems. No, but she's the best. The best. So she can say that she's the best because she has all those stats and all those wins, and she's playing at 37 going on 38 and beating 19, 20, 21-year-olds. It's a fact. Okay, we're good there. We've nailed it. She's also domineering and aggressive. She will stand up for herself. Now, and this is something that is a problem, and it's still a problem. Not much as a problem, but it's still a problem, where you have someone that does stand up for themselves, namely a woman, and it becomes a huge issue. But, oh, you should be nice. Well, I can stand up for myself and be professional, but does that necessarily mean that it's going to be nice? No. So that's what happens throughout the novel, and I like it. I like it. Anyone that's rude to her, like, you know, they call her the bitch, and she's like, yeah, but I keep winning. So, it's like, woo! Instead of her going, oh my god, no, I'm not a bitch. Like, oh, can you get rid of that nickname? I'm not. I'm just misunderstood. No. I am. I'm the bitch. Also formerly known as the Battle Axe. I mean, she has 2 nicknames throughout the novel. I like both. I'll go with it. Let's cheers to the Battle Axe and the bitch. Though, interesting point that it bothers her a little bit, the bitch part. But then she thinks about it. She talks it over with her love interest and her, not assistant, her agent and her dad. And, you know, they're just like, you keep winning. Like, maybe being a little nicer in certain situations, especially when you're in the public eye. Her agent really says that, and then has to save her twice. But, I mean, saving her twice isn't too bad. If you're saving someone like over and over and over again throughout the years, then it's a problem. Then you might be like an actual bitch. But I would say that, you know, if you're not in sports, I have a whole bunch of family members are in the sports field, or they used to be, and then, you know, they got injured, and so they can't do sports anymore. And I used to be into sports when I was younger, up until like 9th grade, and then I'm just like, no, thank you. You're in that world, there is more aggressiveness, and there's more direct language, and it's not the same as people that aren't in the sports world. Like, you just say it up front. You don't need to like beat around the bush. Oh, he's pretty good, but just say he's pretty good, and then give the reason. Don't draw it out, right? I mean, there are some people that want to do that just not to upset people, but for the most part, it's going to be honest. And Carrie has to deal with that, and she has to deal with her age and her body. Her body's not the same as she was when she was 18. That's just a fact. She's 20 years older. And she has to deal with the fact that Nikki Chan is better than her. And how do you compartmentalize? How do you accept that? Because Nikki broke Carrie's record, and then Carrie came back and broke her own record and then outbeat Nikki. But then, you know, a year or 2 goes by, and she's getting older, and she's getting more tired, and a big thing happens, and she realizes something needs to change, because now I'm alone. I have some people, but now what's going to be my next step? And that's where I just love it. I just love it. I'm just saying. I really enjoyed this novel. I'm going to keep reading Taylor Jenkins Reid for like the rest of my life, or her life, our lives. Because though her characters might not be relatable or likable, like she's not really going to be relatable if you've never even, like, you're not interested in sports and you've never really played sports other than PE where you were forced to, then she's not really going to be relatable. But still think she's interesting enough, and you don't see as many characters like her out there in the artist field, that it's intriguing. And I also like the story too. So I like her and I like the story. And that's why I do, in fact, recommend Carrie Soto is Back. If you can get the gold book cover version, I think that's more representative of the novel, because she thinks, well, she doesn't think, she knows, and it's also a fact that she is the best tennis player. And then she kind of has to hand over that gold, you know, to Nikki Chan. And how do we figure that out? Or does she even hand it over? You decide if you want to read the book and figure out. But I do prefer the gold, because the colorful one that I showed, not really Carrie. Not really the vibe. I don't know why they went with that other cover, but I do prefer the gold, as I said. So, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your reading day. Bye!